All right, so students, we're going to give you the keys for success, okay? So the first thing, as I mentioned, positivity. In positivity, let's look at goal setting, okay? Goal setting. It's the first thing we're going to look at. Students, the way I grew up in the old model. And the old model said this: if you pass, you're smart, but if you fail, you're dumb. That was problematic for me because I failed classes in school. Now, I don't mean I just failed. I mean I was good at failing. I failed algebra. I failed biology. How many of y'all have problems with biology? Yeah. Let me tell you something. That atomic chart, once you pass that class, you'll never use it again, okay? But I failed biology. I failed typing. Well, unless you become a scientist, then you use it. Outside of being a scientist, probably won't use it. Okay? I failed typing. Students, but the one class, I don't know how I failed. Okay? I grew up on the border. I have a Mexican dad. I have Mexican citizenship. I went to Mexico throughout the country all summer long, all my summers. I would go on Sundays. Hey, I'm from Laredo, Texas. And the one class I don't understand how I failed was Spanish. See, how did you do that? I'm telling you, I was good at failing. So, I have a very brilliant sister, all right? And my sister is unbelievable. Her college, paid for, scholarship, 3.93, Dean's List. She had all the Greek alphabet by her name, Alpha, Omega, Sigma, Omicron, all that. I mean, she's just brilliant. And so after that, she had a full-time job. She did her master's in 2 years, all scholarship. And people would always brag, my peers would always brag about my sister. Lizzie's so smart. Lizzie is amazing. Smart girl. Lizzie is scholarship, school, president's list, all these things. So they would talk about Lizzie. Then they would talk about me. They would say, David? Well, David's just very creative. David's a little bit different. School's not his strength. So you see, there was a temptation to believe that I wasn't that smart. Now, that's the old way of thinking. The new way of thinking, psychology is now teaching us that every single one of you is a genius. So this morning, I'm speaking, I'm not like the dude that travels all over the world talking down to other kids. No, I'm a genius speaking to a room filled with geniuses. Every single psychology is showing us that every single one of you is a genius in one domain or several domains. Now, all of us have different inner genius. Now, some of you like science and math. How many of y'all are good at science and math? Can I see your hands? Some of y'all cannot stand science and math. Can I see your hands if you don't like science and math? Okay, a few. Most of you are good at science and math. Okay, good. And some of you love to read. How many of y'all love to read? How many of y'all would rather watch the movie? Okay? All right. How many of y'all are good at sports? I mean, you're just amazing. You like sports. Okay, how many of y'all really don't like sports that much? It's not really something you're good at. So you see there's different levels. How many of y'all like lunch? All right, so we're all geniuses in lunch, okay? Here's the thing, students. When you find your inner genius, you become unstoppable. See, now, science is teaching us that every single one of us have a different learning method. See, when I was growing up, if you wouldn't pass, it was like, you're dumb. You're not that capable. You can't go to college. You're destined for failure. But science is teaching us now that every single one of us learn different. See, I failed Spanish in school as somebody from Laredo with a Mexican dad, Mexican citizenship. I failed Spanish. But then a few years later, I found my inner genius. I found my learning style. And after 8 weeks of living in Switzerland, I was speaking French fluently. 8 weeks. Sao Paulo, Brazil, after 4 weeks, I was giving speeches in Portuguese. 4 weeks. Because I found my genius. Now, that's the one thing I can do good. Okay, there's a lot of things I can't do good. But I found my genius. When you find your inner genius and when you find your learning style, you become unstoppable. See, how many of you have ever taken a day just to go to the library to read about all kinds of things and just see where your interests lie? See, how many of us do that? How many of us are taught to do that? How many of y'all have ever thought about it? A few of you. Good for you. I'm sure more. But I'm posing these questions. I want you to think about this. How many of y'all have ever thought about your learning style? Am I better at auditory? Am I better at reading? Am I self-taught? Am I better through learning through practicality? See, when you find your inner genius, you become unstoppable. Now, I want to share with you a story that best illustrates this. I have a dog. who's a Doberman. And I think a Doberman is the most, the animal that most resembles a horse. I mean, this dog is muscular when he's walking, like you can see all his muscles and his veins. When I wake him up in the morning to take him for a walk, he's already doing abs. I mean, he's amazing, all right? And so my dog's name is Rojo, because he's brown. And so I took Rojo one day for a walk, right? I'm taking Rojo for a walk. And the neighbors, we have a neighbor who has a Chihuahua. And the Chihuahua is funny because I would always hear the neighbors say, Chola, Chola, shut up. Now, Chola means, girl thug. Chola, shut up. So I thought he had like somebody robbing his house or something. Chola is the name of his dog. All right? So there's this little like Chihuahua one day as we were walking, and Chola was loose. I was walking Rojo, and Rojo's amazing, man. Rojo just owning the neighborhood. I was taking Rojo for a walk, and Rojo's just walking. What's up, ladies? It's going all over the neighborhood. And all of a sudden, Chola got loose. And Chola's like a little thug. I mean, I could picture Chola with like penciled in eyebrows and like kiss lips tattooed right here, right? And Chola like got in Rojo's face. And I don't know if you've ever seen Chihuahuas, but they just shake all the time. Like they shake and pee. And so Chola got in his face, and Chola was like, She was like Chola twerking. And she started barking, right? She started like doing laps around Rojo. And Rojo is stunned. He has no idea what's going on. So Rojo just stops, and then he looks at Chola, and he looks at me. And I can hear Rojo say in dog language, seriously? Seriously? And then Rojo looks back at Chola. And then he looks at me again. And then Rojo confuses all of us. He looks at Chola and he does this like sneeze thing that dogs do. He goes. And then he took 3 muscular, pronounced steps. He proceeded to lift up his leg like this. I'm not going to finish the story, but let's just say that day, that dog was Chola fuck. And then Rojo just kept on going. He looked back and said, that was pretty cool, huh, David? And I was like, All right, so here's the thing. Rojo was motivated. He had to go. See, when you find your inner genius, you can find the cholas in life. You can find people telling you, you're not good enough, you're not smart enough. Oh, you want to go to college? Que te vaya bien, te machuca el tren. You can find people that will tell you, oh, you want to go to college? You better marry somebody smart or somebody rich because you don't know what it takes. You can look at all of those haters. You can look at bad experiences. You can look at broken relationships. You can look at all the cholas in life. You're not good enough, you're not smart enough, you shouldn't go to school, you should do drugs. And you can say, you know what? I'm going towards my future because you're motivated. You see, and when you set goals, this is what happens. Let me teach you the way your brain works. See, once your brain is open to a possibility, then your brain will start moving towards that direction. This happens positively, and it happens negatively. Okay? So, how many of y'all, for example, how many of y'all before you give a speech, you get nervous? Okay? All right? Now, not just nervous like 10 minutes before. I'm talking about like 2 weeks before. You don't even have to give the speech, and you know you have to give it, so you start getting nervous. Like if you're giving it, you start to sweat, your heart rate gets faster. It's 2 weeks away, and you're already getting nervous. Has that ever happened to anybody here? Let me see your hands. Okay. What happened then? See, your brain tricked your body. Your brain is so powerful, your body will do whatever the brain sends it. The signals that your brain sends your body will do. So even though you're not giving that speech, in your body, physiologically, it's as if it happened because your brain is shooting out signals, okay? So your brain is open to that. Now, it happens negatively and it happens positively. See, how about this one? Dating. How many of y'all ever heard this? This happens, I've heard this so many places around the world. How many of y'all ever heard, man, dating in Laredo just sucks. There's no boys here. I'm not gonna find anybody. There's no girls here. I'm never gonna meet anybody. I have to go to San Antonio. I have to go to Austin. Man, it's horrible in Laredo. There's nobody here in Laredo. Everyone's the same. Everyone just wants to do the same. It's so boring. I need to get out of Laredo. How many of y'all ever heard that? Let me see your hands. I heard that too. Okay? So I left Laredo. And then I went to Houston. I heard the same thing in Houston. 5 million people. Dating in Houston is no good. There's just nobody here. I said, there's 5 million of you all. There's every kind of race, every kind of color. Pick your flavor. I just don't like it here in Houston. There's nobody here. I went to Copenhagen, one of the most beautiful places. Everyone is blonde, fit. They all ride their bikes everywhere. And the same thing in Copenhagen. There's nobody here in Copenhagen. 2 million people. Nobody's here in Copenhagen. I said, okay, maybe it's just here. I was in Los Angeles 2 weeks ago. If there's anywhere in the world you think that, there's a dating scene, I mean, just turn on the TV. Everything is in Los Angeles. 90210, Laguna Beach. Oh, okay. And so, you think of Los Angeles, you think of the beautiful people in the world. I was in Los Angeles 2 weeks ago, and I heard someone say, man, the dating scene in Los Angeles is horrible. There's nobody here. I'm like, really? There's 20 million of y'all, and you can't find one person? See, you know what happens? Is the brain says, there's nobody here, so what happens? Shut down the possibilities. See, once your brain is open to a possibility, anything can happen. Now, it happens on the other way around too. How many of you all girls, it happens positively. How many of you all girls have ever seen a beautiful outfit at the mall? And it's like $100, in your pocket you have like 75, you're like, but I get paid this weekend, I'll come back on Monday. I'll come back on Monday and I'll purchase this thing and I'll be the only girl in Laredo that has this outfit. It's gonna look amazing. I got this. I'll be back on Monday. Then something happens over the next 3 days. All of a sudden, it's as if 50 people in Laredo bought the same outfit. Has that ever happened to you girls? See, what happened is they probably already had it, but your brain was open to the possibility and boom. Okay, so that's the way goal setting works. So if it happens negatively, it can happen positively. And that's why I asked you that exercise. I want you to write down goals, things that you can envision for your future. That's why we did that earlier. That's something that we can do later on. But what would you like your life to look like? What would you like your happiness to look like? What would you like your relationships? What's your ideal relationship? Once you start writing it down, your brain is open to these possibilities. Let me ask you another question. I want you to write this down and do this at home. What's your ideal job? People see me and they say, that's your job? You travel, you just talk, and you make people laugh? Yeah. You get paid? Yeah. It's an ideal job. Okay, for me. Maybe for others, it might stress you out. What's your ideal job? Okay? What's your ideal day? I want you to think about when they do this journal assignment, what's your ideal day? Where would you like to wake up at? What city would you like to be in? All right? What would you like to do in the morning? Who would you like to spend your time with? What kind of job would you like to do? I want you to think about these things. What would your exercise routine look like in your ideal day? When you start writing these things down, the brain is unbelievable. The brain starts scanning the possibilities.